Some scars never truly fade. They just lie dormant, waiting for their moment to speak. Welcome back. Today, we aren't talking about glittering crowns or royal galas. Instead, we're stepping into the shadows to the very moment Prince William and Prince Harry finally shattered decades of silence. What was powerful enough to make two princes lay bare their deepest grief for their mother, Princess Diana? What secrets were buried beneath those public smiles? Join me as we turn the pages of a chapter that has remained untold until now. After so many years of quiet reflection, they eventually discovered the courage to speak, not just about grief, but about growing up healing, and the comforting belief that their mother's spirit still guides them from a distance. And what about you? Have you ever gone through a loss that reshaped who you are and helped you become stronger the way William did? If you have, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss future videos filled with heartfelt and inspiring royal stories like this one. William once came across a file he was never meant to read. Yet the moment he opened it, his perception of the events surrounding that historic night in 1997 shifted in ways he had never imagined. Inside were overlooked notes, an unpublished document, and a series of unusual details that appeared to link Princess Diana's quiet concerns with individuals she had long placed her confidence in. The incident inside the Pont de l'Alma tunnel was remembered by many not only as a heartbreaking loss, but also as a moment surrounded by unanswered questions. Some viewed it as a tragic coincidence, others as a simple accident, while many felt there were layers the public might never fully understand. At approximately 12:25 a.m. in Paris, the car carrying Princess Diana, her companion Dodi Al-Fayed, bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones, and driver Henri Paul collided with one of the tunnel's pillars. In a single instant, what had begun as an ordinary evening transformed into a sorrowful event that captured the attention of the entire world. The announcement traveled with astonishing speed by 4 a.m. Leading television networks throughout Europe and North America were breaking into their scheduled broadcasts to deliver the news of Princess Diana's passing. Outside Kensington Palace, crowds of grieving admirers gathered without pause. In less than 10 days, the sea of tribute flowers had risen to nearly 5 feet high, turning the gates into a powerful symbol of collective remembrance. Questions quickly followed. Why would Diana, known for being careful in public, have chosen not to fasten her seatbelt that night? Why were none of the tunnel's traffic cameras able to provide a clear record of the crash, and was driver Henri Paul truly impaired, as early reports suggested, when some observers later said he seemed composed? The official French investigation, released in 1999, concluded that Henri Paul had a blood alcohol level significantly above the legal limit and had also been taking prescription medication, findings that shaped the final public understanding of the incident. Yet conflicting details and the accounts of people who were there kept public curiosity alive, making it difficult for doubts to fully disappear. The princess's passing was not only a national shock, but also a deeply personal loss that left a lasting mark on Prince William. As the years moved forward, however, pieces of information that once seemed hidden gradually began to surface. Lady Sarah McCorquodale, Diana's older sister, had maintained near-total silence for decades, but during a private family gathering in 2023, she chose to share her thoughts openly for the very first time. She shared that she had once been the person who introduced Diana to Prince Charles, long before history placed their names side by side. In fact, She herself had briefly dated Charles in earlier years. A light-hearted comment Sarah reportedly made at the time, saying she would not marry Charles no matter his position, quietly brought their own relationship to an end, and without anyone realizing it, then opened the door to a union that would later become one of the most talked about and complex marriages of its era. A private letter Princess Diana penned to her sister Sarah in 1993, later uncovered by William, brought several unsettling insights to light. In her words, she described the pain of being valued more as a public symbol than as a person who needed genuine affection. She compared her role to that of someone quietly bearing burdens for the sake of tradition and expectation. References to emotional distance, lingering tensions around close relationships, and a vague sense that difficult times were ahead left readers reflecting on the hidden pressures behind royal life. Sarah safeguarded the letter for 3 decades, its existence unknown, until William reached out himself seeking clarity about the past. More than a quarter of a century after Princess Diana's passing, the unanswered questions still linger not only among the public, but within the lives of her 2 sons as well. Whatever the full truth may ultimately reveal, one certainty endures: the princess's legacy continues to resonate, shaping conversations and memories even today. She stood not only as a global emblem of compassion, but also as the portrait of a devoted mother, a woman willing to live honestly, to love with courage, and to voice her inner truth despite the pressures around her. In a personal handwritten note to her sister, Sarah, Princess Diana reflected on emotional distance in her marriage, the complicated atmosphere surrounding Prince Charles, and the growing unease created by the constant attention around Camilla Parker Bowles. Sarah later acknowledged that she had not fully grasped the seriousness of those sentiments at the time, only understanding their weight in the years that followed a tragic turn of events. Sarah finally spoke out, not from guilt, but after a heartfelt talk with Prince William in early 2023. When he asked what his mother had shared that summer, she became emotional and gave him the long-kept letter. She admitted she once thought it wasn't important, but later realized it was. That brief exchange changed how William viewed the last years of his mother's life. For the first time, Prince William no longer viewed it as a single tragic accident, but as the result of a long chain of painful circumstances. At the heart of it was the emotional strain that deeply affected Princess Diana. The story, he realized, was shaped less by places and more by private tensions, quiet phone calls, discreet encounters, and the constant public attention surrounding Camilla Parker Bowles that followed Diana throughout those years. As early as 1980, when Princess Diana was only 19 and just stepping into preparations for royal life, the connection between Prince Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles had not fully faded. Unease quietly grew in Diana's heart when only weeks after the wedding she came across personal photos, handwritten notes, and a bracelet marked with the initials GF, a private nickname that hinted at a bond she had not expected to find. That discovery left Princess Diana deeply shaken. In later private reflections, she spoke about how her eating struggles began around that time as stress quietly affected both her health and confidence. Living inside the vast halls of Buckingham Palace, she often described feeling isolated and emotionally unsupported despite the grandeur surrounding her. While Diana tried to endure her difficulties quietly, Prince Charles continued to balance public duties with complicated personal relationships, including ongoing attention around Camilla Parker Bowles. During this period, Diana's emotional distress was sometimes misunderstood, and she increasingly felt reduced to a public image, rather than recognized as a person with genuine feelings and vulnerabilities. It wasn't until her 1995 televised interview that Diana finally voiced what many had only whispered for years, delivering a line that echoed around the world. There were 3 people in the marriage, and the weight of that admission shook long-standing traditions. To the public, she appeared graceful and unshaken, yet behind the polished smile, she was fighting a quiet emotional storm. She later explained that her personal choices were less about romance and more about reclaiming a sense of identity, a reminder that even those surrounded by fame can struggle deeply to feel seen and valued. A trusted confidant once recalled her saying that if affection felt out of reach, she would at least command respect, a statement that revealed more vulnerability than anger. In 1994, when she stepped into the spotlight at the Serpentine Gallery wearing the sleek black dress that would later become legendary, the timing spoke volumes. That same night, a televised admission from Charles drew global attention, and her appearance instantly shifted the narrative. The outfit was more than style. It became a quiet declaration of confidence and self-possession, a visual reminder that dignity and poise can sometimes speak louder than any words. Even while projecting confidence before the world, Diana carried private heartache that few truly understood. In a 1996 note to her therapist, she described how constant public attention often left her emotionally drained, as if every camera flash asked more of her than she had to give. When she later crossed paths with Dodi Al-Fayed, it seemed less about romance and more about searching for peace and a brief refuge from relentless scrutiny. The chapter that followed became a solemn reminder that fame can magnify both light and shadow, and that behind every headline is a human story shaped by pressure, hope, and the universal need for understanding. That evening came to symbolize more than a single moment of turmoil. Many later viewed it as the culmination of difficult decisions, missed cautions, and unresolved tensions that had been building for years. What followed was not only shock, but a lingering quiet that seemed to settle over public life and royal corridors alike. By early 1996, Diana had gradually stopped molding herself to expectations that no longer fit who she was becoming. Her marriage to Charles, formally concluded after Queen Elizabeth II, encouraged both sides to move toward separation in late 1995, and the legal process reached its final chapter in August 1996, marking not just an end, but the beginning of a new, uncertain independence. After losing the title of princess and the shield of constant royal security, Diana stepped into a strange new spotlight. She appeared more independent and approachable, yet beneath that freedom lay a deep sense of exposure. The pressures she once endured quietly began to reshape her spirit. What started as sorrow slowly evolved into a determination to reclaim control of her own story. She stopped concealing her feelings, her public appearances, and even her frustrations. In journal entries written between January and May of 1997, she reflected on a powerful emotional journey moving from heartbreak and uncertainty toward a stronger, more defiant sense of self-worth and personal resolve. She began to speak openly about her desire to step into the media spotlight, win worldwide sympathy, and reshape how the public viewed the royal institution. Rather than waiting for formal invitations, she often arrived at public events on her own terms, instantly drawing cameras and headlines wherever she went. A trusted confidant later shared that she once described the intense media attention as the only tool I still control. What many dismissed as impulsive behavior gradually revealed itself to be something far more calculated, a thoughtful strategy carefully designed rather than driven by emotion alone. In June 1997, Diana organized a remarkable auction of 79 of her iconic gowns at Christie's in New York, raising more than $5.7 million for charities supporting people affected by AIDS and cancer. Beyond its charitable success, the event quietly symbolized a personal turning point, a graceful farewell to chapters of her life that no longer defined her. Only days later, she introduced the world to a new companion, Dodi Al-Fayed, son of Egyptian businessman Mohammed Al-Fayed. The unexpected announcement stirred intense public curiosity and lively debate, signaling that her story was entering an entirely new phase filled with change and bold independence. Images of Diana and Dodi relaxing aboard a yacht on the French Riviera circulated across newspapers and television screens within hours, turning a private getaway into a global spectacle. Observers noted that the timing seemed intentional, as if the photographs themselves carried a subtle statement about her newfound freedom and independence. By August 1997, the level of media attention surrounding her had intensified to an extraordinary degree, with reporters tracking nearly every move and rumor. Commentators at the time suggested that such relentless scrutiny reflected growing concerns about public perception and national image, highlighting how closely the lives of public figures and the power of the press had become intertwined. Some observers worried that Diana might choose a life far beyond Britain's borders, building a new future and making deeply personal decisions that would once again place her under the world's microscope. Aware of the constant attention surrounding her, she did not retreat from it. Instead, she met it with determination. In a private note dated late August, she expressed a simple but powerful resolve that her voice and her choices would remain her own no matter the pressure. This mindset marked a period of courage and self-assertion, showing a woman intent on shaping her own path rather than being defined by the expectations of others. The night of August 30th, 1997 marked a fateful journey from the Ritz Hotel to the Pont de l'Alma Tunnel, one defined by a string of puzzling decisions, lost moments, and a series of missteps that could have been avoided. Diana and Dodi had enjoyed a quiet dinner at the Ritz Paris, a luxury hotel owned by Dodi's family. The plan was to retreat to Dodi's nearby apartment just a few minutes away by car. However, the paparazzi had already been waiting outside the hotel for hours, relentless in their pursuit. In an attempt to throw off the press, a decoy car was sent out first, while Diana Dodi and bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones slipped out through a back exit. The car they chose for the ride was a 1990 Mercedes-Benz S280, driven by Henry Paul, the deputy head of security at the Ritz. According to hotel staff, Paul had indulged in 2 glasses of Ricard pastis and at least 3 beers earlier that evening. Later tests revealed his blood alcohol level was over 1.75 grams per liter, more than 3 times the legal limit in France. Yet despite these concerning signs, Diana and Dodi trusted him behind the wheel. In a troubling twist, neither of them wore seatbelts, something unusual for Diana, who was typically known for her cautious approach to car safety. At approximately 12:20 a.m., the car began its journey entering the Pont de l'Alma tunnel just 4 minutes later. What transpired inside that tunnel remains a subject of intense debate to this day. The Mercedes crashed violently into the 13th pillar, estimated to be traveling at a speed of 65 miles per hour, about 105 kilometers per hour. Dodi died instantly at the scene, while Henry Paul remained trapped behind the wheel. Trevor Rees-Jones sustained severe facial injuries, but against all odds survived the crash. Diana, still alive, was left trapped in the wreckage. Rescue workers later reported that she was conscious, whispering in pain as they tried to free her. Diana was extracted from the wreckage at 1 a.m., but instead of being immediately rushed to the hospital, she was treated at the scene for a full 40 minutes, a decision that has sparked controversy and is believed by many to have cost her a real chance at survival. Adding to the mystery surrounding the crash is the absence of any security footage. Despite the Pont de l'Alma tunnel being equipped with 14 cameras, none were operational that night. French authorities later explained that the system was outdated and crucially didn't record any images. To make matters worse, a traffic camera positioned directly above the tunnel was also malfunctioning that evening, leaving critical moments unrecorded. The absence of footage only deepened the suspicion surrounding the incident. In private notes later found by her son William, Diana had written in June 1997, "If I die in a car accident, check the cameras. That will be where the answers lie." Yet those cameras, crucial to uncovering the truth, were not functioning, leaving the questions unanswered. As the media spun various theories, William steadfastly rejected their explanations. Almost 3 decades later, in a quiet, determined investigation, he uncovered many long-buried truths hidden within classified files, shedding new light on the events that have haunted his family for so long. In 2004, the Metropolitan Police Service in London launched an official investigation called Operation Paget, led by Lord John Stevens, aimed at uncovering the truth behind Princess Diana's death. The investigation delved into over 175 allegations, interviewed more than 300 witnesses, and reviewed thousands of documents from both the UK and France. However, it wasn't until 2023 that Prince William, accessing the files, discovered a piece of evidence that would immediately capture his attention: a handwritten letter from his mother, Princess Diana, dated October 1993. The contents of that letter would prove to be a crucial part of the puzzle he was determined to solve. The letter, entrusted to her butler, Paul Burrell, contained a chilling message from Princess Diana: "My husband is planning an accident with my car. Brake failure and severe head injury." Diana believed that the motive behind this was to eliminate her and pave the way for Charles to marry the woman he loved, Camilla. At the time, many dismissed her words as the result of her deep fears and anxieties, but the details in the letter were unsettlingly specific and terrifying. In hindsight, those words now resonate with a haunting clarity. For 11 years, Mr. Burrell kept the letter hidden, only revealing it after Diana's death. Shockingly, it had never been included in the official royal files until William requested a review. As part of his investigation, William also revisited the claims made by Mohammed Al-Fayed, who had alleged that Diana and Dodi were being closely monitored. According to declassified documents, MI6 agents were active in Paris the night of the accident. One agent in particular was said to have recorded Diana's every move in real time, raising even more questions about the circumstances surrounding her tragic death. Even more shocking, many of these records were either deleted or blurred in the final public report access, to which William had to fight tirelessly to obtain. What do you think? Is this just a coincidence? Or is there something more being hidden? If you sense something suspicious at play, leave a 2 in the comments. If you believe it was simply a tragic accident, comment 5. And if you're as intrigued as we are in uncovering the truth, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss the next updates on this unfolding journey. This is purely for reference purposes, only based on hypotheses and unverified rumors/public opinion. Let's discuss it from an objective, analytical perspective.